From childhood, we are taught that if you are good, things will go well for you. That if you follow the rules, others will like you. That if you give love, you will receive love. A lie. That is a trap designed to keep you harmless. Because the world does not reward the good. The world rewards those who understand how the game works. And in the game of seduction, desire is not ethical. Desire has no compassion. Desire does not choose the most correct. Desire chooses the most interesting, the most unpredictable, the most intense. That is why the men who learn to manipulate perception, who know how to enter a woman's mind and leave there an unforgettable image, are the ones who dominate. Not because they are bad, but because they are not afraid of being misunderstood. And that is power. Machiavelli never wrote a book on seduction, but his brutal philosophy of power applies perfectly when a woman chooses, desires, or gives herself. Because desire has its own rules, and they are not the ones your mother taught you. The most noble does not win, the most strategic does. In this video, I am going to teach you how to activate attraction through mystery, how to become the man who does not need to beg because he is already desired before he even speaks. And for that, I will reveal to you the 5 Machiavellian principles of masculine magnetism. But first, listen to me. If you keep being predictable, if you keep trying to please everyone, if you keep giving yourself away too quickly, you will continue to be invisible. What seduces is not your availability, it is your selective inaccessibility. And here comes principle 1, selective attention. Give her intense attention, but only in moments. Make her feel you chose her among all the rest, that you are watching her with silent desire, with a gaze that needs no words. And just when she begins to give in, when she starts to feel secure, you leave. Do not explain, do not justify, simply disappear. Because attachment is not born from affection, it is born from absence. She will not obsess over what you gave her. She will obsess over what you took away. That is the root of desire, emotional attention. And if you know how to control it, you can create addiction. It sounds manipulative. Yes, but this is not a fairy tale. This is real seduction. The men who seduce the most are not the most handsome. They are the ones who know how to withdraw at the exact moment. Not when she expects it, not when it no longer matters, but exactly when she begins to imagine herself with you. That abrupt cut, that sudden silence, creates a fracture in her expectations. And when expectation breaks, obsession enters. Because now she has you in her mind, but not by her side. And that is the game. Seduction begins when you master your own need, when you do not need to prove anything, when you do not seek validation, when you understand that your energy is a resource that is not given away, not wasted. Only then do you begin to truly attract. Now we go to principle 2, emotional investment. The human mind values what costs something. No one cares for what they received without effort. No one gets attached to what they obtained without giving anything in return. And in seduction, that is a law. If you want a woman to truly desire you, you need to make her invest time, attention, energy, validation, even discomfort. The more she invests, the harder it will be for her to let you go, because the brain does not want to lose what it has already started to build. This is why the men who create the most obsession are not the ones who give everything, but the ones who activate the principle of reciprocity. Make her give to you. Make her open up a little. Make her feel that you are a prize, not a gift. For example, ask her questions you would not ask just anyone. Ask for her opinion on something deep. Ask for a small favor. Have her join you in something short but meaningful. You can even show a subtle vulnerability so she feels emotionally involved. The important thing is to get her to invest in you, because the moment she does, her perception changes. You are no longer just another man. Now you are someone with whom she has already started something, and what has begun is painful to lose. Do you see the difference? Most men give everything on the first date. They pay for everything, talk about everything, confess everything. That does not create desire, it creates pity or boredom. The mystery disappears. But if you can get her to open up first, to seek you first, to give you something first, something changes in her mind. And that small shift can become an emotional slope. She wants to know more. She wants to know if you will also invest. But you, because you know what you are doing, do not give her your soul. You give just enough. You give what creates tension. You give what keeps her guessing. Because when a woman starts asking herself, "What does he feel?" she is already desiring you. Desire is born from uncertainty, not from certainty. That is why you must control the information you give. Do not reveal everything immediately. Be interesting, not predictable. Remember, no one wants to read a book when they already know the ending. And you are that book. If you play it well, every page she dares to discover will be more valuable than the last. The secret is not in telling her you like her, it is in making her want to confirm it. That is how desire works. That is how true attraction is built. Now we come to principle 3. Be a projection, not a person. This is one of the most powerful and least understood keys in all of seduction. A woman does not fall in love with you. She falls in love with the story her mind builds with you. She falls in love with what she believes you are, with what she imagines you feel, with what she projects onto you. This is why the men with the most magnetism do not reveal everything. They become mirrors, reflecting what she wants to see. If she wants someone intense, you are fire. If she wants someone mysterious, you are silence. If she seeks security, you are stone. If she seeks adventure, you are chaos. Not because you are pretending, but because you do not correct her. You allow her to build her fantasy about you. And once she does, she no longer sees you as you are. She sees you as she needs to see you. That is the secret of irresistible men. They do not give certainties, they give symbols. Vague but powerful images. Phrases that stay in the mind. Gestures that are never explained. A presence that leaves a mark without saying much. Because mystery is an empty container, and what is empty she will fill with desire. Do you understand? She does not desire you for your resume. She desires you for how she feels when she is with you. And if she feels desired, special, unique, she will come back. She will want more. Not because you convinced her, but because you enchanted her. And that is not achieved by talking too much. It is achieved by mastering the aura you project. That is why the way you look at her matters more than the way you speak to her. Your silence must carry weight. Your body must express presence, not anxiety, not need, but dominance. When a woman senses that you are not trying to impress her, that you are not seeking her approval, she begins to see you as a figure, a symbol, something she cannot classify. And what she cannot classify, she desires even more. That is how the mind works. We do not crave what we fully understand, we crave what confuses us. If you can create that doubt, that tension, that aura of mystery, you are no longer just another man. You are a challenge, and no desire survives without some form of challenge. That is why you must not sell yourself, not explain, not justify. Be scarce with your information, but generous with your presence. Because the man who can project without revealing himself becomes a living fantasy. And nobody wants to let go of a fantasy. Follow me for more principles from the dark art of attraction. Now understand this clearly. Being good does not make you desirable. Being correct does not make you irresistible. What truly triggers desire is being necessary. And that brings us to principle 4, do not be good, be necessary. What does this mean? It means seduction is not about pleasing. It is about occupying psychological space. It is about becoming a figure that cannot be ignored. Not because you insist, but because you leave a mark. Because you awaken an emotion she does not feel with anyone else. One silence from you hurts more than another man's words. One glance from you unsettles, excites, intrigues. One gesture from you is enough to alter her emotional balance. That is what it means to be necessary. Not from logic, but from the visceral, from the uncontrollable. And that is not built by being predictable. It is built when every time you appear, something inside her shifts. When your presence triggers her fantasies, her fears, her hidden desires. When your absence weighs more than the presence of others. To achieve that, you must stop seeking approval. Because the man who wants approval adapts, and the one who adapts too much disappears. Instead, the man who imposes his energy, the one who does not ask permission to exist, the one who walks as if the world belongs to him, that man is unforgettable. That man leaves a trace. And I'm not speaking of cheap arrogance, I'm speaking of true presence. The certainty of a man who does not negotiate his value, who does not try to fit in, who is simply firm, intense, indifferent to judgment, yet deeply connected to his center, to his essence. That man does not beg, he does not explain, he does not apologize for seducing, because he knows desire is not fair, desire is wild, desire is instinctive. And if you connect with that primitive power, if you transform yourself into an energy that cannot be ignored, you become necessary. You become the figure she remembers at night, the one she compares others to, the one she cannot replace. That is the true goal of a seducer, not to be perfect, but to be unforgettable, not to be good, but to be magnetic, not to be accepted, but to be desired. But to achieve that, you must stop begging for love. You must stop seeking female approval as if it were your only source of validation. Attraction begins the moment you stop chasing it, when you understand that you are already enough, that you already have something to offer, that you do not need permission to make an impact. You only need presence, direction, and an energy that is not explained. It is felt. If you want to dominate the game, become an emotional necessity. And to do that, first become someone irreplaceable to yourself. Follow me for the final principle, the most dangerous of them all. Now we arrive at the most dangerous principle of all, the one very few dare to apply, the one that transforms an ordinary man into an unforgettable figure. I am talking about the art of withdrawing with power, because everything that rises can fall, every desire that is not renewed fades, every magnetism that is given without limit dissolves. This is why the true seducer does not fear disappearing, does not fear silence, does not fear being forgotten. He knows that his withdrawal, if done with strategy, is worth more than 1,000 promises. Listen carefully. The greatest mistake men make is staying once they have been won over, trying to keep what they have gained through constant affection, endless attention, and emotional obedience, and that kills desire. Because desire does not crave stability, desire craves risk, doubt, tension. If you are always available, if she no longer needs to imagine anything, then there is no longer fire, there is only security. And security alone does not excite. Do you want to truly dominate? Learn to leave, learn to disappear at the exact moment when she still desires you, when there are still unanswered questions, when the fantasy still burns. Because it is in that space of charged absence where lasting desire is planted. It is not when you are present, it is when she realizes what she feels in your absence. It is when she compares, when she remembers. When she realizes that no one else carries your energy, your silence follows her. Your shadow speaks louder than any other man's words. But this only works if you have the strength to withdraw without fear. If you do not give in to easy validation. If you can break the pattern, because breaking the pattern is what makes you unpredictable. And unpredictability is addictive. It is not about disappearing out of ego. It is about withdrawing with purpose, about creating a void, about opening a space for her to come to you. And if she does not, it does not matter, because you are not there to chase, you are there to be chosen. And if you are not chosen, you vanish like a storm without warning, because you do not beg. You mark, you impact, and then you leave. And in that withdrawal, in that abrupt cut, you leave an echo, an emotional echo that cannot be silenced by another body, that cannot be replaced by another name. That is dominance. Not just seducing, but controlling the narrative until the very end. And if you control the end, you control the story. That is how power works. That is how eternal memory is activated. That is how a man becomes a myth. Continue, because the darkest has not yet been revealed. Now we arrive at the most dangerous principle of all, the one very few dare to apply, the one that transforms an ordinary man into an unforgettable figure. I am talking about the art of withdrawing with power, because everything that rises can fall. Every desire that is not renewed fades. Every magnetism that is given without limit dissolves. This is why the true seducer does not fear disappearing, does not fear silence, does not fear being forgotten because he knows that his withdrawal, if done strategically, is worth more than 1,000 promises. Listen carefully. The greatest mistake men make is staying once they have been conquered, trying to hold on to what they have gained with constant affection, constant attention, and emotional obedience. And that kills desire. Because desire does not crave stability, desire craves risk, doubt, and tension. If you are always available, if she no longer has to imagine anything, then there is no fire, only security. And security alone does not excite. Do you truly want to dominate? Learn to leave. Learn to disappear at the exact moment when she still desires you, when there are still unanswered questions, when the fantasy is still burning. Because it is in that space of charged absence that lasting desire is truly planted. It is not when you are present, it is when she realizes what she feels in your absence. It is when she compares, when she remembers, when she realizes that no one else carries your energy. Your silence follows her. Your shadow speaks louder than the words of any other man. But this only works if you have the strength to withdraw without fear. If you do not give in to easy validation. If you can break the pattern, because breaking the pattern is what makes you unpredictable. And unpredictability is addictive. This is not about disappearing out of ego. It is about withdrawing with purpose, creating a void, opening space for her to seek you. And if she does not, it does not matter, because you are not here to chase, you are here to be chosen. And if you are not chosen, you vanish like a storm without warning. Because you do not beg, you mark, you impact, and then you leave. And in that withdrawal, in that abrupt cut, you leave an echo, an emotional echo that cannot be silenced by another body, that cannot be replaced by another name. That is dominance. Not just seducing, but controlling the narrative until the very end. And if you control the end, you control the story. That is how power works. That is how eternal memory is activated. That is how a man becomes a myth. Continue, because the darkest part has not yet been revealed. You are no longer just a man, you are a figure, an archetype, an energy that awakens deep emotions. But if you want to maintain that dominance, seduction alone is not enough. You must learn to control the bond, because every desire seeks to transform into connection. And if you do not know how to manage that transition, you will lose the power you worked so hard to build. Here enters the most strategic principle of all. Direct the emotional bond without possessing it. The most common mistake men who seduce well make is falling under their own spell. They fall in love with the attention. They become attached to the desire they provoke. They become addicted to control. And then they lose it, because they begin to need what they once dominated. They change their energy, become predictable, start seeking, asking, giving in, and the figure breaks. The aura fades. The symbol turns into an ordinary man. How do you avoid this? By understanding this, the bond is not mastered through attachment. It is mastered through emotional direction. You are not here to possess her. You are here to guide her experience with you. Do not try to control her emotions. Control the context that provokes them. For example, if you notice she is beginning to take too much power, introduce distance. If she starts getting lost in routine, create contrast. If she begins to grow indifferent, reactivate the mystery. The secret is to never become linear. You are not here to please, you are here to create emotional depth, to set the rhythm, to guide with presence and detachment. And this is not coldness, this is mastery. When you can make the bond revolve around your energy, when you dictate the emotional tone of the encounter, when even your silences carry intention, then you stop being just her lover, you become her center of gravity. That is dominance. But to sustain it, you need one thing: inner freedom. If you depend on her validation, if your emotional state changes because she ignores you or approves of you, you are no longer the dominant, you are the dominated. This is why the real work is with yourself, not with her. The woman is only the mirror. The desire you awaken in her is the proof. But the core of it all is you, your center, your autonomy, your unshakable presence. If you do not react like the others, if you do not need what the others need, if you do not fall where the others fall, she begins to feel something different. She begins to feel that she cannot trap you, cannot define you, cannot tame you, and that sensation is addictive. Because most men end up surrendering to the bond, but you do not. You use the bond like a dance, moving closer, then away, revealing something, hiding something else. And in this way, you keep the fire alive, keep the tension high, and preserve the aura. The bond no longer controls you, you shape it. And that is art. Follow me, because in the last part you will understand how to close the circle, how to turn all of this into an irreversible transformation. If you have made it this far, you can no longer go back to being the same, because now you know power is not in being liked, it is in being free. Desire does not reward the man who gives more, it rewards the man who controls the tension. Attraction is not maintained with constant affection, it is maintained with selective presence, with loaded silence, with latent mystery. You have already understood that the game is not ethical, that the love they told you about is a childish illusion. That true magnetism is born from inner mastery, from your ability to hold your energy without giving it away, from your ability to move through the world without asking permission, from your determination to be who you are, even if that makes others uncomfortable. Because in a world full of men who crawl for approval, the one who does not bend rules. And if you apply everything you have learned in these 8 parts, you will not just attract, you will transform, you will mark, you will leave a trace. Because you will no longer seduce from need, you will seduce from your center, from the figure you have built, from the character you embody with every gesture. That character no longer seeks, no longer begs, no longer sells himself. That character appears, imposes himself, and leaves when he decides, not out of ego, but out of vision, because he understands that his energy is worth more than any fleeting validation, because he understands that true power is not in conquering women, it is in conquering yourself, in refining every shadow, in transcending every lack, in becoming a living myth, a figure that women not only desire, but fear forgetting. And that is the destiny of those who practice Machiavellian seduction. They do not seek easy love. They do not repeat self-help phrases. They do not cry about not being understood. They rise in silence. They sharpen themselves. They study themselves. They forge themselves. They make themselves inevitable. If you feel that call, if something inside you knows you were not born to be just another man, if your soul vibrates with this vision, then do not stop here. This is not the end, it is the beginning of a new identity. A masculinity that no longer apologizes, no longer sacrifices itself, no longer submits. It is the beginning of your dominance, of your law, of your path, and you are not alone. This is a movement, a school, a radical vision where men stop asking for affection and start provoking desire, where the goal is no longer to be good, but to be necessary, magnetic, indecipherable. If you want more principles, more tactics, more mental rituals to forge your aura, your presence, your figure, subscribe now and follow me, because what is coming is darker, more intense, more real. Welcome to Machiavellian Seduction. Your reign begins now.